When you think of the worst thing in the world, a lot of stuff comes to mind, but perhaps one of the very most vile and terrible things on this planet is, of course, scammers. They take your money, they have no soul, oftentimes, sadly. How could you steal from a granny? How could you steal from a hardworking individual who just simply wants to make money and provide a good life for their family? How could you? How dare you? Well, unfortunately, the scammers are continuing to get big victories in the crypto space right now. They are victories for them, big losses for everyone else. And let's take a look at some of the stats here and go over just how much the scammers have been evaporating from Dogecoin, Bitcoin, and other cryptocurrencies as of late. It's not good. It's very bad, and we need to do everything we can to call it out and prevent this from in the future. If you want to stop scammers, take a second to press like so this video can get out to as many people as possible. We also have a big update when it comes to the Dogecoin price target that we're going to have by the end of this month. It is not going to be most likely what you expect. The Dogecoin price target by the end of this month. Take a look though. 1 billion has been lost in cryptocurrency scams since 2021, FTC warns. And here's where the stats get kind of crazy. Let's scroll down and take a look at this. So the first stat that we're going to take a look at is that over 46,000 people have been scammed. 46,000 people. This is just off of a US data center. 46K is a heck of a lot of people to be getting scammed like that. The average amount per person is the price of a washing machine combo, a washer dryer combo. If you want to get a nicer one, maybe what else is a good comparison to that? If you want to get some nice furniture, maybe a really nice couch. Maybe these days, though, it's just a normal couch. I mean, it used to be a nice couch, right? Until the inflation came along. Thanks, inflation. $2,600 average. Some people losing millions, some people losing just a few hundred. And as we continue to see, age 25 to 40 being the primary targets of crypto scams. Now, this is absolutely groundbreaking because almost every single successful scam group in the past has targeted older people. Elderly people tend to be the most likely to fall for scams until now. This right here is a groundbreaking new area for scammers to go into of scamming young people between the ages of 20 to 40. They're 3 times more likely to get scammed in the crypto space. Now, to be fair, older people in crypto, there really aren't stats that show what would happen there, but the truth is, older people would be more likely in the crypto space to get scammed compared to younger people, is what I would guess. However, more younger people are into crypto than older people, and so that could be part of the reason why this stat is so overwhelmingly toward the side of younger people getting scammed. Still, though, that's crazy to look at 70% as well, a vast majority being gotten used Bitcoin to pay the scammers at 70%, followed by Tether and Ether. So the largest ones are not Dogecoin, fortunately. However, Dogecoin still is one of the ones that is a problem when it comes to scammers. Now, we will look at the silver lining here and say a lot of scammers just don't have it in them to scam people using a Dogecoin. And so that, I guess, does work in our favor a little bit. Nonetheless, though, there still have been hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Dogecoin that have been evaporated by scammers, that have been stolen. Very unfortunate to see fraud, all this stuff. We also have some really fascinating charts to look at. It's not even getting better either. You'd think maybe as more people start to learn, it'll get better. Unfortunately, that is not the case as of yet. The scammers are just getting smarter. Unfortunately, smarter and smarter and smarter. Let me go ahead and show you. So I believe this was the right article. It must have switched over. Here we go. This right here is the right article. Yeah, it switched over, but we'll take a look at this and you can see exactly why this is so scary, because the trend is not just stopping. It's not just going down. People aren't learning. People are getting worse when it comes to falling for scams, unfortunately. And I guess you can't really blame the people who fall for them. It's really the fault of the scammers themselves. But this right here shows in just the first quarter of 2022, we have had almost half the amount of people scammed as we have seen in the entirety of 2021, just one quarter, which means we're on track for double the amount of people to be scammed in 2022 as were scammed in 2021. Now, there's no guarantees that will happen, especially considering the market is not on an insane energy streak right now, so there's less people focused on it. But to see, even without there being an insane energy streak, still seeing that much in money scam just shows you how advanced these scammers are getting. It is time to start cracking down on them in a big way. If you're a scammer, you saw what the thumbnail says. You need to run because you will get caught. You will get discovered. It's only a matter of time. This is the blockchain. And no matter what you do for the rest of your life, that money can be tracked. If you put it in your bank account, it can be seen. And eventually, once the governments across the world are more in unison about stopping scammers, especially governments in certain countries where there's a heck of a lot of scammers, including India, and I love calling out India. I don't care what anyone says. Most people in India are good. But the truth is, I love calling them out because the Indian government is who I want to call out. They have been absolutely terrible when it comes to preventing scams. There's a ton of corruption in a lot of cities in India, and they just allow it to happen. So I hate what the Indian government is doing with an absolute passion, and I will never be afraid to completely and totally roast them and call them out. Now, that is obviously in contrast to the people of India. So many good people in India hate the scammers just as much as we do, and it's important to make that distinction because we don't want to have a bunch of hate going against Indian people. But at the same time, everyone in India should be voicing their opinions even more about this and going even harder to help stop the scammers. I don't want to see a single person, regardless of where you are in the country, thinking this is just an issue that doesn't need to be voiced way harder and gone after way more. People who are doing this need to be arrested, and there need to be serious jail time consequences for this. You need to spend, really, if you scam a lot of people, you need to spend years in prison. That's just the only way that it's appropriately going to be solved. You have to pay fine and spend years in prison. Otherwise, there really won't ever be a stop to the scammers. They'll just continue on and on. If you want to press like to help spread the word to stop the scammers, you are certainly welcome to do that. We also have more data coming out about Bitcoin versus cryptocurrency, or cryptocurrency rather versus gold through the lens of Bitcoin. Take a look at this. You can see this right here is the price of gold. It's kind of fascinating how it was really following Bitcoin to a high degree of accuracy, and you can even argue it's the other way around, that Bitcoin was following gold to a high degree of accuracy until we saw the drop, right? So the chart looks very similar overall, but gold has stayed up, whereas Bitcoin has continued to fall back down, which suggests that right now Bitcoin and Dogecoin likewise are underrated because of the chart action. It's very simple. When you see it falling, then it breaks that following, it's probably going to, at least to some degree, have gravity attracting back upwards to where it was. And so that's what we will look for. The gravitational pull upwards on the cryptocurrency chart will be fascinating to watch that. I certainly hope we do see a big spike soon as a result, at least in part of that. During the last drop of BTC, it stayed down for approximately 3 times as long. So we could be in this rut for perhaps a month or two longer. Now, that's not to say we're going to see the same exact pattern every single time. Gold, for example, has seen shorter ruts in multiple drops of its previous history, including right there, but way shorter rut, so we can absolutely see it bounce back faster than expected. But that's just unfortunately the way it is, that we may have to wait a little bit longer. But we'll continue to still cover cryptocurrency markets and see what's happening, because there are still opportunities, especially with the next crypto pick. You're not going to want to miss that. It is by far the best team that really has launched a coin in a very long time. So I'm extremely excited about this. There are people who are part of some of the most popular groups in all of cryptocurrency. We're talking about billion-dollar companies. We're talking about people behind billion-dollar coins. We were talking about the CEOs of huge crypto things like exchanges. This is definitely a coin that has all of the makings to be one of the greatest cryptocurrency launches we have seen in a very long time. Very cool to think about. Winklevoss Twins as well. Gemini, that's their exchange, they're cutting 10% of its staff, saying crypto winter is here, which is awfully pessimistic, but the truth is they're just using that as an excuse to cut staff. They're not the only people that are using excuses to cut staff. Elon Musk also going hard on his staff as well. He put out this letter, which was pretty intense actually. Take a look. Anyone who wishes to do remote work must be in the office for a minimum, and I mean minimum, of 40 hours per week or depart Tesla. Wow, harsh stuff there. Bye-bye. Not really though. I mean, it makes sense. Like you can't just work. I mean, I can work from home because I'm a YouTuber, but I own my own business. I'm motivated by owning my own business, right? If I was an employee and I worked from home, would I work as hard? Let's be honest, none of us would. I mean, it just makes sense. You have to go into the office, or you have to have your employees go into the office if you want to be a more successful boss and you want to have productivity levels going up. It would be nice if we could just have everyone work from home and still have good productivity. But if you can't talk to people and see people face to face, if you're trying to run a big company and you're getting paid by the hour potentially, or you're getting paid on a salary that's not necessarily going to be dependent on how hard you work, then working from home can absolutely detract from the overall productivity. So it makes sense why Elon Musk is putting this out. 40 hours per week or depart Tesla. This is less than we ask of our factory workers, which is absolutely a good point to make. I mean, the factory workers are putting in physical work for that amount of time. Surely if you're doing an office job, you can be a little bit more time devoted. If there are any particular exceptional contributors for whom this is possible, I will review and approve those exceptions directly himself. Moreover, the office must be a main Tesla office, not a remote branch office unrelated to the job duties. For example, being responsible for Fremont factory human relations, but having your office be in another state. So that's kind of crazy. I mean, just to think how big Tesla is, that he literally has to do generalized statements that you have to actually be in a Tesla office. I mean, it seems like there'd be some amount of accountability already. Like, wouldn't you be able to tell if they were in a Tesla office or not? I mean, like, it's almost like he's not going to know. He's not going to know if they work in the office or not because the company's so big. Kind of crazy to think how big Tesla is. I mean, it makes sense in some ways. There's also a lot of people who don't even speak English that work for Tesla in other countries, which is a whole nother aspect to it. Elon Musk has cited multiple times that some of his factories in other countries actually have higher productivity levels than the US, which is interesting. And I guess that could in part be related to just simply the overall way companies are run in different countries and the overall way people react to work. The US actually does have a really high rating when it comes to work hours per week. However, that can also mean that sometimes the amount of work done per hour can be lower. It really just depends. I mean, the quality of life in the US is so high that can also lead to people being maybe we can be a little bit spoiled. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that if it's you that's the one that's spoiled, but at the same time, I mean, you know, it is what it is when it comes to stats. We can't really go around the bush too much on that. We just have to accept it. U.S. Senate candidate proposing Dogecoin's legal tender in California. If elected, he will draft a bill. More news coming out about that. This one from Watcher Guru on Twitter. Then we also have this: top 10 cryptocurrencies in the world by Twitter followers. BNB at 8.99 million, then Dogecoin number 3 with 3.4 million, and Bitcoin number 2 with 5.3 million. That's cool to see Dogecoin at number 3. That's going to help a lot as we continue to move into the next cycle. Anyway, I'm Matt Wallace. This is Final Stand, and I will see you in the next video.